For this video lecture, so we'll be discussing about Module 7, Financial Planning and Control. Okay, so here, under this video lecture, so we will be focusing on the sales forecast. Okay, so when we say sales forecast, this is essentially a prediction of how much sales you'll generate in a given time frame. So this is just a when we say forecast, it's like a budgeted or estimated number of units to be sold, as well as its corresponding sales in terms of um, sales price, or uh, in terms of generating the revenues. Okay, so when making the sales forecast, normally we use the data to determine what the number should be. Okay, we have, mean to say, we will use relevant bases such as trends. Okay, in the past, how how many units were sold um, in the past 3 years. Okay, how many percent increase every year, okay, does it have? Okay, so this can be used as a basis for say forecasting the sales in the next period. So like all other things that rely on looking into the future, okay, it's not set in stone. That's why in this case, sales forecasting needs to have relative or relevant basis, so we can use the historical data, okay, in determining or making the projections. So sales forecast is vitally important for determining a projection for the month. Okay, it can be monthly, quarterly, or yearly forecast. So a sales forecast is your tentative roadmap for what will lie ahead, especially in terms of the number of sales in units and in revenues. So the sales forecast also provides goals, okay, to work towards. The sales forecast provides goals to work toward. Okay, it gives you an idea of your revenue as mentioned, and it will also allow the plans for the future. So it can also uh, help you to create strategies on how you can achieve the targeted or forecasted sales. Okay, if the road to business success is a journey, then your sales forecast is used or be your GPS or your guide. Okay, so here, to not have one is like, or if you do not make a sales forecast, you would wander down. It's like wandering down a narrow mountain path, okay, in which it is dark and you are blindfolded. So meaning to say you don't know where to go and how to go there. So sure, you might make it down to the ground safely, or you might fall off the cliff. So there is no assurance. But eventually, if you have the sales forecast, it is not an assurance in itself, but it's like a guide or roadmap that will serve as a basis, okay, on which you want, or on where you want to go and how you go there. Okay, so that's how sales forecast is um, important. So in this video lecture, we do not actually make the or present, okay, how to do the sales forecast. So it would be on the later part. Okay, so to continue, so we have the different sales forecasting methods that is being used. Okay, so number one is historical forecasting. Okay, so here, this is considered to be the simplest forecasting method. Okay, so when you use this um, forecasting method, we will look back, or the basis will be the sales data in the past. Okay, and it will be considered the same for the same time period from the previous year or years. So basically, we are looking into what happened, okay, in the past, and we will base our sales forecasting on that data as well. So here, you can assume that if everything is the same with your business, okay, you should also perform a small percentage better in the coming period. Okay, or if you have established a trend or pattern in terms of increase or decrease in sales, so you can use that in this forecasting method. So, or at the very least, you should stay the same. Okay, so using this approach will allow you to see the trends as mentioned over time, and your plan accordingly based on the previous data. So again, this is based on historical or past performance. So the downside, however, of this approach is that it assumes everything will stay relatively the same as far as your sales is concerned, which is risky. Okay, considered to be a risky assumption. Okay, because we all know that there is no exact and the same sales pattern, okay, when it comes to the different time periods. Okay, so this is just one of the downside if we are looking into or using the historical forecast, if especially you are assuming that we will have the same pattern as that of the past. Okay, but if you will base your forecasting on the trend, meaning to say you will consider the percentage of increase or decrease, then that will be fine. Okay, so if you use this approach and really look at what factors have influenced your previous year's numbers and adjust accordingly, so this can provide a better insights for the future. So overall, this is not the most sound approach to forecasting, but it can give you a generalized overview of how your business performs over the past year without requiring a ton of effort on your part. Because here, you just analyze based on what has transpired in the past. Okay, so the next sales forecasting method is intuitive forecasting. So here, obviously, this approach is relying on our gut instincts. Okay, and this can be dangerous, especially if we allow emotions to color our thinking. So this is based on feelings, okay, and no other relevant basis except your personal opinion or um, emotions, okay, which can be considered as irrelevant or not relevant. Or relevant, I mean irrelevant in terms of decision making, okay, in this case for sales forecasting. Okay, so but if you have an experienced team and you don't have a lot of historical data to draw your uh, sales forecast, then this method could be your option. Okay, for example, if you just operated for after a year and you need to um, make your sales forecast in the coming year, so you might use this forecasting method. Okay, so naturally your forecast might vary wildly from reality, meaning you might be better served to be conservative in your predictions and not too uh, ambitious in the to the extent that your sales forecasting can't be achievable. Okay, so you have to be um optimist. I mean, you have to be realistic, okay, and that the forecasting should be within the reach, okay, of your capacity and capability. So, but good salespeople have a unique perspective from being in the trench. So, one that management would be wise to take into consideration. So, again, this will depend on the experiences also, and normally this should be based on the past experience that they have. Yeah, but intuitive forecasting is considered to be um, less reliable. Okay, so the third forecasting method is opportunity forecasting. So here, opportunity forecasting operates on the idea that you'll predict the number of sales you can generate through your funnel or pipeline. Okay, so how to make this forecasting? So this method to make this method effective, you really have to understand how your sales pipeline work, meaning you'll need to figure out what percentage of customers go on to make a purchase at each stage of the pipeline. So again, you will be basing this from your historical data. Okay, so because we can get the percentage of customers purchase. Okay, so we have here an example on how to make the opportunity forecasting. So, for example, for new lead, okay, so you will have to make probabilities, okay, in terms of percentage, okay, for this sales and likelihood of occurrence. So, for example, for the new lead, you have 15% likelihood of completing a sale, qualified lead 25%, request proposal 40, negotiation 75, construct stage is 95%. So again, I guess this is based on, or this will be based on the past performance, okay, of the entity, okay, so that they will have a better sales projection, okay, especially for opportunity forecasting. So using this average, it entirely is possible to predict your sales moving forward. So opportunity forecasting is much reliable compared to the intuitive forecasting. Okay, because in this case we have the basis. So here you simply take the potential value of the deal and you multiply it with the percentage. Then add them all up to come up with a figure. So this method is great for companies with a robust pipeline system that tracks where their customers are in the funnel. Okay. So the next forecasting method is what we call pipeline forecasting. So here, this is where an opportunity forecast mostly just uses historical data and likelihood of sales percentages to put a potential dollar amount on those deals. So here, the pipeline forecasting will take many more elements to consider. So not only this methodology look at your historical closing rates relative to the pipeline position, it can also factor in things like the salesperson effectiveness, seasonal variances, win rates, and more. So this is um, a more reliable forecasting compared to that of the uh, opportunity forecasting. Okay, so this forecasting also the benefit of this approach, I mean, over opportunity forecasting is that it's much more detailed, okay, as described. And the more detailed your forecast is, the more likely it is to provide accurate projections. So this is what makes pipeline forecasting more reliable. So that being said, this isn't a forecasting method perfectly suited for everyone. So it depends on the data that is available. Okay, so to begin, it requires a lot of work for it to become effective. So you have to take a deep dive into your analytics, your sales metrics, your pipeline, and more to gather all the data you need to try to craft a truly accurate forecast. But the benefit of this is that we will have the most um, close to accurate projections. Okay, so of course, for some business, the rewards will be worth the effort, as mentioned. So pipeline forecasting can give us some very detailed and potentially very accurate projections if we will put work into it. Okay, so the next sales forecasting method is the test market analysis. Okay, so prior to actually launching a product, we can do a limited rollout or a test market to run and to see how it performs and extrapolate the data from there. Okay, so we just test the market. Okay, so while not as detailed as full historical forecasting, so the test market analysis forecasting can offer some insights on how our customers will respond to a new product. So while there are many variables that can come and into play after the test marketing analysis and those first full on sales figure, so we can at least glean some of those data of how this new product will perform based on the smaller data set. So it's like having a sample out of the total population. Okay, so is this the ideal method for forecasting? Actually, no. Okay, that being said, in this situation, it's hard data is limited. Okay, because we're testing a small group of the population or target market or segment, and it is just a testing stage. So it can at least give you a ballpark estimate of what to expect until you actually have enough real data to draw conclusions and the actual sales of that new product. Okay, so the next forecasting method is length of sales cycle analysis. Okay, so here, do you know how long it takes your team to close the average sale from the first contact to payment? If so, you can average those figures to determine your sales cycle. And we will compare that to our current funnel and extrapolate from there. Okay, so this is how length of sales cycle analysis method of forecasting is done. Okay, so you have here an example. So say you have sales from a time period that looks like this. So sale A, it took 10 days, sale B 20 days, sales C 30 days, and sale D 20 days. Okay, so simple math there tells you the average sales takes 20 days to complete if you average this day's sales. Okay, so armed with this information, we can compare the current in progress sales. So this will be our basis. Okay, so the deals that are approaching the 20-day mark can be considered a good candidate to close, meaning you can make projections based on that revenue data. Okay, so this is another one that relies a bit more on projecting than hard data. So while all sales forecasts can be knocked off by unforeseen events, this one is particularly susceptible because it doesn't consider a lot of different variables. Okay, so I mean to say, it will be least likely to be accurate. Okay, so despite that, it's great for your sales management team as far as figuring out the lead times for your sales. So while it might not be the main component for our sales projection, it will have value both as a standalone metric and as part of a multivariable approach. So meaning to say, out of this data, the data given out of the length of sales cycle analysis, we can use this as our loan basis for projection, or we can use this as one of the bases, okay, for projecting the sales forecast. Okay, meaning to say, along with the other data available, we can use also the data that is provided from this analysis. Okay, what about the multivariable analysis? Okay, so here, the title alone should give this. Okay, so meaning we'll be tracking a wide range of data, some multi-variable, okay, to get most accurate analysis possible. So meaning to say, here, we do not just rely on a single data alone, but we have to use the other data that we can get or are available. So a multivariable analysis. So what makes this one truly effective is that we combine analytics from all other methods to create a complete picture with projections that will consider wide range of variables. So here we will use historical data, the data from our pipeline, sales cycle data, and other wide variety of other sources to help craft a crystal clear picture of what we will expect from our sales, especially in the future. So this one can also be extremely time consuming because we need intensive data. So, however, the benefit of this is that the results are the best. You can get short of adding a psychic to your analysis, okay, or investing in crystal balls. So it's not the case in this method because here we have considered uh, reliable data from different sources. So given that multivariable analysis is so extensive, so it's not right for every business. Again, it will take a long time and effort to do this. So small businesses are less likely to have enough data points, okay, to make wholly accurate predictions, or they need this level of granularity in their analysis. But um, again, depending on your capacity or capability. Okay, however, larger companies with a streamlined data analysis, or if they have already established a system, okay, for analysis, or they have the software that can take the deep dive into this method of forecasting and expect, okay, these results, then they can use this uh, analysis or forecasting methods. Okay, so those are the different sales forecasting methods.